Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Helen here with Droid Life. So I've got in front of me the Blackberry Priv. Yes, it is Priv because that stands for privilege. Let's see if you can see that. Privilege and privacy, or privacy if you're not in the US. The privilege thing, I don't even need to get into how ridiculous that sounds. Privacy, I get, right? BlackBerry's known for sort of smartphone security. So anyways, this is BlackBerry's first Android smartphone, and you can actually see right there, BlackBerry powered by Android. So this is a pretty big deal. It is a slider phone, so it has a keyboard. It has that BlackBerry keyboard that many of you probably remember, but then it's got Android. And so it runs mostly stock Android. BlackBerry's done some tweaks to it. And overall, it actually looks like a pretty attractive package. They even tossed in some pretty high-end specs and sort of did just about everything they could to make this an attractive phone. It's not cheap if you buy it. Right now, currently, AT&T is the only carrier in the U.S. selling it, and they want a lot of money for it. Verizon will get it eventually, and I'm sure they're going to want a lot of money for it too. You can buy it unlocked, which is what this version is, and it'll work on AT&T and T-Mobile. And it's also not cheap. It's about $700, I believe. So it's an attractive package of specs and the idea of sort of a stock Android with maybe BlackBerry security and a keyboard, because we haven't seen a physical keyboard in a while. But again, that price could be a sticking point. Either way, it's BlackBerry's first Android phone, and so it's a pretty big deal. And so we're going to give it a review. But first, of course, we're going to unbox it. So that's what I'm sort of working through right now. Here's the phone. I'm just going to set that there. So Priv guides. We don't really need to go through those. Also in the box here, we have that's a SIM tray or SIM removal tool, and more guides on the inside. You do get a charger, and the phone does have Qualcomm's Quick Charge 2.0 support, though I'm not sure if this is a quick charger. I'll have to test that. And it looks like they're also including earbuds, which is interesting. It is micro USB. It is not USB Type-C. Not that I think anyone was expecting that. Actually, I'm going to look. I never look at the headphones, but I just find it odd that BlackBerry threw some in. So, yeah, they're just sort of typical earbuds, and they do have a BlackBerry logo on them. So, anyways, there is the box. The unboxing experience, always something. So, here is the phone, and let me take plastic off here. There's also one here. Stick that there, and we also have one on the front. If I can get my finger under there. There we go. So, in hand, before we get into anything, just first impression, it actually feels pretty nice. It has this sort of soft touch. Actually, it's almost sticky backside to it here. BlackBerry logo there, camera. It's actually almost sticky. Like, you're going to have no problems holding on to this phone. It is not going to slip out of your hand. Wow. Interesting. So, kind of sticky is about the only way I can sort of explain that. But it feels good. The weight of the phone, actually light for a phone that has, let's not open the keyboard yet. Light for a phone that has a physical keyboard on the inside. So kind of crazy. Let's take a tour though. So you have a Qualcomm Snapdragon 808 processor on the inside. That's a hexa-core 64-bit chip, which is in most phones like the Moto X Pure Edition, the Nexus 5X, and I feel like there's a whole bunch more. It's not the Snapdragon 810, it's the 808. So slight downgrade there, but still has proven to be a mostly serviceable processor. It's in the G4 and the V10 as well. It has a 5.4-inch Quad HD display. Let's see if we can boot her up here, which has a curve to the side. So kind of see it there, kind of curves around each side, sort of like Samsung's Galaxy S6 Edge line of phones, but it is Quad HD. It's also an AMOLED display. On the back, we have an 18 megapixel camera with optical image stabilization. So they actually didn't mess around there in terms of camera. We'll see if it's any good or not. I've heard so far that it might be a little slow, which is a problem, but if it takes quality pictures, maybe you can get around some of that. Has 3 gig of RAM, 32 gig of internal storage, but it does have a micro SD slot with support for up to 2 terabytes of storage there. Has a 2 megapixel front camera, which is kind of weak. You can see it right up here, which is kind of weak for a modern flagship. We're starting to see 5 and 8 and 13 megapixel cameras on the front of phones. It does have a headphone jack on the bottom, which I'm always a big fan of. There's your micro SD, or I'm sorry, your micro USB port, which I don't know why that's not centered. And I'm not trying to be a design anal freak here, but that seems like that should be centered down there. It looks like it's about to fall off the edge there. That's weird. You do have a front-facing, pretty big speaker here down at the bottom, which is kind of awesome. Up top, let's take a tour now. Up top, you do have a microphone, and your SIM tray is up there along with your SD tray. So those are both up top. Over here on this right side is where your volume rocker is. And I believe in the middle is some sort of silent switch. Apparently that's like an old school Blackberry thing. It seems sort of silly, but apparently that's what that is. And then over here on this side, you actually do have your power. Showed you the bottom. There's that back side again. All right, so again, NFC, USB with quick charging. The battery is 3410 milliamp hour, and it's non-removable, but that's a pretty big battery. And again, fast charging. That is pretty much it. 802.11 AC, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.1. It does take a nano SIM for those wondering. All right. Anyway, so here is the actual sort of stock looking setup experience, but you guys really just want to see the keyboard. This is an unboxing after all. All right. I made you wait long enough. Here is the Blackberry Priv keyboard. So it really does sort of look just like an old school Blackberry keyboard. So in hand, let's just sort of do this here. So in hand, you have the full touchscreen experience. You'll have an on-screen keyboard. We'll get into some software and stuff like that later, but you'll have the full sort of stock Android experience with some Blackberry stuff. And then if you need to, so there's this little ridge right here actually, where you can sort of pick your thumb. So if you're holding the phone, you can just sort of put your thumb right there and slide up. And the mechanism's actually quite nice. It doesn't feel flimsy, and once you have it open, it doesn't feel flimsy, so that's nice there. In terms of just clicking, you know, it feels a lot like a Blackberry keyboard. If you used a Blackberry keyboard before, you're going to be very familiar with this experience here. I actually can't wait to sort of try it out for a little bit. So anyways, that is pretty much it. This has just been an unboxing. We'll do software and talk about all of that stuff another time. For now, we just kind of wanted to get in here and show you guys basically what the Priv looks like in hand, that sort of initial impression. I'm trying to skip this as fast as I can just in case we can get to some stuff. Skip, finish, just so we can see the home screen. Oh, here we go. All right, so I guess we're not ending. We'll just show you maybe just a quick tour here. So BlackBerry went with their own launcher, it looks like. Apps, widgets, shortcuts. You can swipe up from home to get into Google Now, the messaging app, or maybe that's BlackBerry Hub, or you can just search. You can't swipe over to get to Google Now, it doesn't look like. If we swipe this way, they've just sort of preset some stuff. Overall, though, it's kind of a stock launcher experience with some subtle tweaks there. Looks like we can swipe out here to get to a productivity tab with some shortcuts. That should be fun to play with. Oh, yeah, very much so. Oh, yeah, so you can swipe out to get to calendar and just some other stuff. That's actually kind of handy. Here is the notification panel. So it looks like that's a hub notification up there, but you just have your sort of standard notifications. This actually looks pretty stock in terms of what in normal Android looks like. You can adjust swipe shortcuts in here. That's something new. Let's go to About Phone. It is running Android 5.1.1. Don't think I mentioned that, which is Lollipop. There is your recent apps. There is a clear all button. Let's just, oops. I'll just get to the lock screen. So the lock screen looks pretty familiar as well. You can swipe up there. Yeah, so I thought that was a silent switch, but it really just pops up the volume sort of menu, which doesn't really make any sense. But anyways, we are going to do a really full-on tour of this thing very soon. And yep, that was indeed slow. For now, though, this has just been a quick unboxing and just a look briefly at the software. Anyways, you guys have comments, questions, or want us to check out anything in particular, we can obviously do that. But this is the BlackBerry Priv, BlackBerry's first Android phone. Droid life. Peace.